Hello, my name is Marten and I'm the founder and CEO of GameCan. We're a game development studio in Pärnu, Estonia, very close to here in Marten's Maja. We have decided with Forward Space and Who and GameCan to create this very casual, chill event where throughout this panel we talk about a bit about the gaming industry in general, gaming industry in Estonia, gaming industry in Pärnu, a bit about our backgrounds, why we're here on the couch, why we're relevant, and you should maybe consider hearing us out. And then there are some questions that I don't even know which are coming up. I'll let one by one people introduce themselves and then we can kick off with the questions. The questions will take like 60 minutes approximately, and then we have a 30-minute Q&A where you can ask any question what you want. Tomi, Toikka.
Hello! Hi everybody, my name is Tomi, Toikka, as Marten said. I'm 28 years old and I make video games. I've made video games since I was like 8 years old. Now I run Tampere Game Hub. Before that I was CEO of Catland, a virtual reality studio. I also run the Finnish Game Incubator program in Finland and Baton Games Incubator.
I thought you have a funny accent.
Yeah, thank you. Anyway, I think the biggest thing, like, why I think it's very important to have these panel discussions is also to show that video games are not this mystical magic art that you need to spend years to do. It's just something that you can get drawn into a world and, you know, start creating cool stuff. So that's what I'm here to promote, cool stuff.
Thank you. Then Karin, who are you?
Hello everyone, I'm Karin and I'm GameCan's People Operations Manager. Yeah.
And Karin will be asking the questions from us.
Yes.
Then we have Vesterbacka. What are you doing here?
Yeah, I'm like back in Pärnu, so I, as you know, hang out here like now and then. And yeah, I mean, basically, Marten and Tomi already said, you know, a lot about why we're here. And I think that, again, games can be like a serious business. So I think that that's, again, coming from Finland, so kind of like the northern part of the finest Bay Area, as I like to call it. We've been, let's say, reasonably successful in games. So we have 4,000 people now working in the games industry. And in the next 12 months, we'll add another 1,500. So it's kind of like growing pretty nicely. And I was just talking actually to Niku or Niklas, founder of Rouge, so Angry Birds. And I used to be the Mighty Eagle there at Rouge for many years, and we made that the fastest growing consumer brand ever, so not just a game, but like, yeah, fastest growing consumer brand. And I always say that's like easy because, I mean, we're from Finland and everybody knows that Finnish people, best marketeers on the planet, so that's kind of like, of course, you know, why we did that. But the reason why I brought up like Angry Birds and Rovio is that was the first games like unicorn in Finland and maybe in the region. And now we have 3. So Supercell came after Rovio, and basically they became not only like a unicorn but a decacorn. So when Tencent acquired a majority of Supercell, they became worth you know, like 10 billion. So like Wise here in Estonia a bit later. So we have you know, a good track record here in the finest Bay Area of creating not only unicorns but decacorns, and Small Giant Games, then 3rd unicorn we have in Finland in gaming, and there are many more like on the way, and we have the highest talent density when it comes to kind of like game developers. But yeah, so I was talking to Niklas, and 10 years back Niklas gave an interview, and he was asked that, okay, how many people do you think that we will have working in the games industry in 10 years? So that's like, you know, now. And he said that probably we'll have 10,000 people in Finland. So basically we only have 4,000, so we kind of like failed miserably. We didn't even get halfway there yet. And the reason why is that back then we didn't have the funding, so there were nobody invested in games. Now many people invest in games. So if you have a great team, you will find you know, the funding. That's not a big problem. But now we have another problem, and we had that back then also, talent. So basically there's not enough people. at Rovio, I think we had 47 different nationalities, and I know at Game Can you have many also. So it means that most of the people that are working in games are not originally from here. They moved from like all over the planet, from the US, from Canada, from Brazil, from everywhere. And I think that that's also like one reason why we're here, because we want to share also like the like the great news or like the fact that Pärnu is a great place to make games, and that's something that I think is very important that we talk about that, and I think that we can have many more people working on games here in Pärnu. So that's why I'm here basically.
Nice, good long intro.
Yeah.
Flavio Pontes from very far away.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Why are you here?
Yeah, the other side, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Flavio. I'm CTO of GameCam. I'm from Brazil. I'll never reveal my age to cameras.
Nice one.
Well, I'm here to make video games. Met Marten and GameCam on Facebook group actually, and at some point I was here visiting on a company retreat, and I fell in love with the place, and I said, okay, I want to be here for the rest of my life making video games. Why not? It's super awesome. And yeah, here I am, and well, basically my role is to assess technology and business at the same time. But in video games, that's less boring than in any other industry, because, well, you're actually making video games, so you need to understand that, you need to, do research, lots of research, which means basically playing video games during the weekend, so yeah.
And of course, I mean, the real reason you're here because like Brazil know like good beaches, and here in Pärnu, obviously. Right. Something like that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Flavio, and thank you for moving to our small and lovely Pärnu in Estonia. We can move on with the questions. Let's try to make it so we take like a maximum of 90 seconds for one answer. I did all the math in my head, even though I'm not a programmer. And you can ask the question and pick any order in which you want us to answer.
Okay. The first question to all of you. How did each of you end up in the gaming industry? And I will start with Marten.
I'm gonna try to make a long story very short. I've been playing games my whole life, since 1994 when I was 4 years old. Happy to reveal my age. On the yellow cassettes, like my first games were Contra, Tank, Tetris, everything on there. 96 I got my hands on Tekken 3 on PlayStation. Blew my mind. I never thought before that games can look so lifelike. And fast forward, I only went to school for 9 years, starting doing cool projects and businesses, and founded my own dance studio, Black and Brownie. Then I did a lot of competitive gaming, and at one moment I was introduced to a team that was making a game. Okay, trying to make a game, and they asked me to help with user interface in After Effects because I had video production background. And they didn't have anything, any documentation, no plans, no nothing. So I proposed maybe I could help with that instead. So 2 months went by, I had done very valuable work for them, and the guy from Israel just asked, do you want to take it over? You seem to be pretty good at this leadership and management thing. At first I didn't for 2 months, but then it started eating me inside out so much that, like, holy hell, I actually have an opportunity in my hands. I've been playing games all my life, and actually I could start making them. And then comes the rest of the story, which I can maybe tell next to the free food later. I think my 90 seconds is up next.
Alright,
Yeah.
my turn. So I kind of told that I've been making video games since I was 8. I made them to floppy disks. They were horrible because actually they wanted the naughty comic next to it. I sold this floppy disk with that comic they wanted and a copy of the game. and I got in trouble for it. I used Game Maker and Click and Play to make those games. I think I've been playing video games my whole life. Like when I was like 3 years old, there was this television show, Who Got the Troll? And they had this, you went with the little like machine on the train tracks and you had to avoid the trains. That's still my favorite game ever, next to maybe Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which is like
Similar.
unbeatable. Yeah. And I started making websites in WordPress, and then I realized I hate my life and I really want to make video games. So I kind of forced my way into the industry. I was like, nobody else is gonna give me anything. I'm just gonna have to make this myself. My first company, Catland, was founded 2017 with 2 drunk friends from Forsa, Finland, a miserable little town in the middle of nowhere. And then we managed to raise €500,000 in our like pre-seed and seed round, and we made some cool virtual reality games. You probably noticed that the virtual reality goggles and stuff like that aren't exactly flying off the shelves yet. We were kind of a little too early, and we went kind of bankrupt. So I started finding ways to help teams, like through Tampere Game Hub and Finnish Game Incubator, so they won't be left alone. Kind of like a support network. The one I always wanted when I made my company. I wanted to help people so they wouldn't feel as lost as me, and that's basically how I got into this whole business.
Nice. Next one.
Long time ago. Basically, I've been playing games, I guess almost all my life as well, and I still remember like games like Pong. So that's like long time ago. But then when I was a kid, I got Commodore 64. So then that was like one of the key like enablers for the gaming industry in Finland. I think most of the people grew up with like Commodore 64 and then later the Amigas and like all of that stuff. So we had a big like scene in Finland around that. Then I was working at HP, organizing this game making competition in 2003 when our friends from Nokia come out with their first like smartphones. And then Niklas, Kim and Jarno took part in this game making competition that I organized to make the best possible mobile multiplayer game. And multiplayer because working for HP we wanted to sell the servers to kind of like power those games. And then Niklas, Kim and Jarno took part in the competition. They were students at Aalto University. And then they won the competition, and then they came to me and said, okay, Peter, what should we do now? We're students at Aalto and we won this competition. So I told them that, okay, you should do what you love to do, which is making games. So why don't you start a company to do that, to do what you love. And then they started Rovio in 2003, and then they made 51 games, and the 52nd game was Angry Birds. And then, I ended up as the Mighty Eagle there, and then we made that like a pretty big deal, and now I'm here.
Nice.
So,
Why is everyone looking at me? I learned how to program really, really early in my life, and the first games that I played, I played Pong, I played on a Commodore, I played on Atari. Just a small disclaimer, I was in Brazil, those games came out really late, years later. So.
So not to mention your age again, but So you were like still young, but they came like 20 years later to Brazil.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we get it. Yeah.
Centuries ago.
But a few games caught my attention really early, like Cat Alley, all those DOS games. I played a lot of Cat Alley, but my first love was Golden Axe, and Golden Axe was like a real challenge. But my first contact with game development itself was that Golden Axe actually, the original release of it had a bug that the last level of it had an infinite loop, right? So you needed to defeat the last boss, and then the level actually restarted. You could never finish the game, basically to actually beat that and be able to finish the game, you needed to change the game. So there you go, modding the game that has no support for mod. And at that time it was really complicated. You need to ask the uncles you know, that new programming and all that stuff. How do I do? I ended up actually learning how to program like properly because I had contact with the basic when I was like 9 years old. Was when I started, and that actually fixated my passion about making video games. About like okay, I can actually create something cool with this. I can alter this. I can do something really nice. But life goes, and I end up in what I call boring software development. I had a career in there at some point in my life. I was on a point of change in my life, and I was, what the heck not, like get into game development. Okay, I love video games, I love to code, I love technology. Why not? It was an obvious choice to just jump into that, and yeah, I'm glad I did.
So we're all doing a great job on the 90 seconds.
I'm not counting seconds.
Yeah, you are. Look at those eyes, they are all calculating eyes.
Yeah.
Recalculate.
I guess we can jump to the next question then.
Okay, so what are the biggest challenges in growing a game development industry in Estonia and in Pärnu? Marten.
All right. Yeah, this is something we're working on super hard, like everyone on these couches.
Yeah.
We're tackling like education, popularization, and everything. But I think the biggest challenge is we were talking to the mayor of Pärnu today as well, and said the same thing, that if you take 100 15-year-olds in Pärnu, for example, and ask all of them what they want to do when they grow up, how many are going to say video games? Not probably because video game careers are not cool, but no one even considers it. So the number one challenge is popularization, like literally exposing those potential careers and talking about them like we're doing right now. Hopefully taking that recording and sending it to every school in Estonia tomorrow, like just getting the word out there. Because game development careers are a super cool option because there's so many different things to do. Like you can draw, you can do music, you can do programming, like human resources, whatever. Like, it covers so many different things, and
they even pay you to do it.
yes,
Yeah.
and they pay you.
And
to
they
do
pay
it.
you well.
Yeah. So yeah, I won't even take up more time. That's the main thing, like for people to consider in game development careers. This biggest challenge, in my opinion.
Okay, you can go.
Alright, this order is kind of like making sense. Alright, yeah, I think like one of the biggest challenges, well, I agree with Marten there completely, like getting people to get interested in like lifting the veil. It's not magic, it's like actual applicable skills you can learn and like make video games, and you know, that's the thing you can do. And also, another thing is like there's this weird like fog, I think, around the entire industry. Like Estonian game dev scene can blow up in popularity by just like getting these companies together, work together, and promote together. We need more events. We need more stuff like this. This panel, this is amazing. We should have had this like 3 times by now. Like this entire year should be just like us talking, same people on the couch, just like hyping people up. That should be like the biggest like raise the roof. And like also like telling people like worldwide that hey, we're building this. Here's Pärnu. Here's the Estonian game dev scene. We're building it here. And you know, awareness. There's games. There's Estonian games that are like worldwide renowned, like you know, Disco Museum and stuff like that. We need to like put those on a pedestal as a showcase, like a showroom of like all this cool talent and intellect we have in a single room there. And yeah, just make a gigantic festival out of it. Like celebrate it, celebrate the games.
I agree. Now Flavio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do agree absolutely with Marten said. I think the work on education is the most is one that we really need to do, because it is really hard to find talent, and again because I think people don't know what making video games is like, that it is a career and it's a good one, because it's just not boring. It has new challenges every day, new stuff. you interact with really different kind of people every day. So yeah, I think Martin actually said everything about how.
And better to
Yeah, I think that I mean maybe just to add that basically you can do a lot of different things in a games company and in the games business. So not everybody needs to be like a programmer or a game designer or like you can do we need people that are really into kind of like the analytics and the data. As one example, you need marketing people. Branding people, you need like a bit of everything. So I think that that's also important to get that across. That anybody can work in games, basically.
Yeah. I think that's the really cool thing about gaming
I
industry.
think there is kind of the stigma that you need to live in your mom's basement and have a long ponytail to be good enough to make games.
I mean,
Oh,
I
you
live in a
can if you
basement
want.
and I almost can make
You
It's
don't-
not a requirement.
You don't need to be Tomi Toikka to work in games, but
But it
helps.
helps.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the next one. How important is a supportive ecosystem within a region and what are the components of it? Tomi.
Okay, so an ecosystem, what are the components? Well, education, that has been said like 5 times. That is the most like, if you want an ecosystem, you need to be able to train people to be a part of it. Like, if you want video game developers, you have to tell people you can make video games. Just pick a role and, be either self-taught like me, which is stupid, don't do that, go through at least some schooling. Stay in school, kid, is basically my motto. But the other component, I think, is events. Like an ecosystem needs to have something bustling all around. It's like, imagine it's like Call of Duty Warzone. This is the worst analogy I'm ever gonna make. Every month there's a season of like content coming up. Like, there is monthly events, stuff to happen that people want to go to Pärnu to check it out. Or maybe if it's remote, even interacting with that content, like checking this panel, just liking this like video, the VOD afterwards. Stuff like that will help like tremendously a lot for the visibility, which is the the third cornerstone. Everything you do needs to have an impact and a visible impact. So every time we do something here in Pärnu, we hype up about it. We talk about it a lot and say it's the best thing ever because that's what it is. And that's how Pärnu will be the next like game dev superstar scene if you make it right. If you get enough visibility, you get a good education, to help people get in part of it, and events make an ecosystem.
And Marten, what do you think?
There is something that we're doing now and in the near and far future for startups. There's this organization called Startup Estonia. They basically supercharge the startup ecosystem in Estonia. The component that we're adding now for games is called Game Dev Estonia, also an NGO that will do the exact same thing, supercharge the ecosystem of game development in Estonia. And the components of how we're going to do it include things like, number one, as I said, that's the biggest challenge before, the popularization. Then public education, private education. Then the next parts of it will actually be grants, different public funding grants. So if there is a team with a promising idea, there would be public funding of, let's say, like 50,000 euros to build a prototype. Because if you want funding for a game, it's super important that you have some kind of prototype to go to publishers, investors, like angel investors, VCs, whoever. So imagine if the government would support every promising project or team with like just 50K, and they can make their prototype, then go to a publisher, get like 1.5 million in funding. With that funding, create jobs in Pärnu or any other place in Estonia. Those jobs, they pay taxes on. Everything goes back into the piggy bank of the government and local governments, and everyone wins. There's this very good number that Finland, since I think 2009 or 2010, has done very strong public funding into games. It's like over a few hundred million, and for every euro they have put into the games industry there, they've gotten 17 back in taxes, which is freaking crazy. If I could be that investor, I would take that deal for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that very fast, like Finland does this right, and we get like we have DigiDemogram, we have Tempo, we have a lot of like instruments from the public funding that will help. Like basically, if you have a game project that is promising, you have a prototype, you will get funding for it. You can test it out, you can even market it with that money. And it's like every single time somebody does that, it's good for everybody.
Yeah. Peter.
Yeah, I think that it's important to have kind of like this talent density. So again, having other people making games, kind of like in your city, in your area. So then you can always ask for like help or advice. And I think that that's one of the things. Like if I look at the Finnish ecosystem, that you can just like ask people, and you know, like I need to, you know, like improve the monetization of my game, so I can go and talk to like Ilkka at Supercell, or you know, like Timo at Small Giant, or like whoever. And I think that that's something that has really been a big kind of like strength of the ecosystem in Finland, that it's very collaborative. So you can just like go and talk to anybody and they'll, you know, help you. And I think that that's really very important like ingredients. And if you don't have other people in your city making games, then of course you can't do that. So it's like yeah, it's pretty important. And we actually had one team from Riga in the Pärnu games like incubator, and they said that hey, nobody else here is like making games, so we need to move. And now they're moving to Tampere in this case. But yeah, it's a good example of kind of like why it's important to have the density and have other people working on games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that helps a lot, facilitates a lot having the environment. For me, it's education, because I come from formal education in game development. So before I actually started the career into game development, but at the same time I was studying, so I learned from the basics of photography and until to the final thing. So concepting characters, I know how to draw the 2D, the 3D, how to literally position a camera on a game. I came from this, and I've seen what this made in Brazil to the ecosystem, to the general thing. Like we have so many studios now, and most of the initial studios in Brazil, they all pretty much came from the same institution that is spread across Brazil. It's a private one. And most of the main studios come from there. Like we always studied in the same school. Like some of us actually gave classes on those schools, and there we are like with studios that are actually making AAA quality games nowadays because of that, because of having the education, knowing what to do. That way you don't spend money unnecessarily on things that you shouldn't be doing. You actually know how to produce from the beginning, from the concept of a video game to the final product. So yes, I think this is very, very important, because we need talent. We need people to actually be good at it, so we can all grow together and make awesome games.
And I think that that institution, now that they have plans to like build this like games university here in Pärnu, so probably like that will help.
Yeah, definitely. Well on its way, yeah.
I guess you know people who know people.
Yeah, I can.
So that's what I heard, that they are seriously considering expanding into like the EU, and Pärnu, of course, obvious choice. Because like half of Brazil already here, and the beach. I mean, again, that's the big thing.
Yeah,
We cannot stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How could Estonia's government and any local government support the game dev industry?
Money.
Marten.
But I heard that you had a good discussion with Kaja, that she was here like last week.
Yes, actually, we have talked about. Okay, these discussions have been mostly based on the same numbers in Finland. The public funding into games, and then the gaming industry is just showering the government with money. And we've talked with Kaja Kallas, Andres Suit, the mayor of Pärnu, like with so many people. Basically, you can maybe call it like lobbying, but also I can see proper cooperation coming out of those talks very, very soon. And what was the question?
What the government could do.
Yeah. How can they support?
You asked the question after her, so I'm like,
Yeah.
I had a talk with Kaja.
Yeah, because she mentioned that I also met her on Monday in Finland, so yeah.
There's a few things, of course, like one is that public funding, but we cannot expect that the government just, puts some money on the table and who has the fastest hands grabs it for their games. That's why we're creating that Game Dev Estonia organization as well. So there would be a central organization who represents all game developers in Estonia and then facilitates the communication with the government and local governments. And then through that, what we can do is that Game Dev Estonia maps out the whole game dev industry that we have in Estonia, like every single detail, like 15 different metrics, and then we present that report to the government, and we also do a good job on our part, not just asking for money, but explaining that, okay, with these metrics, here's where we are right now, here's where we want to go, these are the activities we need to do, we need this type of funding instruments for those activities, and just so it's not just talk on paper, these are the regions around us that have done this and succeeded doing the same activities which we have modified for the Estonian scene. So like what the government can do is cooperation, but in a way where we actually do a very good amount of work so they understand what they're investing into and why.
Agree. Flavio?
I think helping us spreading the message, it's a good start. Costs almost nothing, and it's like essential.
Yeah.
Like that people, like kids especially, need to understand that okay, video games can be made as well, not just played. You can go there and tell your story or do what is on your mind, create your own world. It's there. You can do it. I think this is the fundamental stuff.
Tomi?
Well, I'll just frame it just like Marten said it. You need some sort of organization who speaks in behalf of all the game studios in the region, and then you shower money into it. That is literally the best way a local government can help. I'm biased because I run Tampere Game Hub, which has been like a tremendous success. We built it from nothing. I couldn't even say that the game dev teams are like a part of it. We're more like there for them. Like we list them all, we tell the city what they need, the city wants to approach these people, we make sure that happens, we share events, but most importantly we give visibility to the studios. So when we started we had 26 or some studios in Tampere. Now we have over 40, and that's almost double the number, which is something you can only do if you have an organization properly supported and propped up by the government and helped by them. And especially on the Estonian's case, this is very easy to do. You're already taking the necessary steps to make sure that we do it. So it's just about collaboration with the organization, with the government, and making sure that the government knows who are the major players, how can they support the ecosystem, shower money into it, give the public funding stuff a try, but most importantly, if you have a big event, sponsor it, make sure it gets visibility.
Yeah.
But I would say that I think that it's not about the funding, and I think from government perspective, most important thing is the government, first of all, that they stay out of the way. So that's and what I mean by that they don't create any unnecessary hurdles. So again, mentioned that at Rovio 47 different nationalities. It's very important that it's very easy and very fast to get people on board, so that you don't have unnecessary bureaucracy around immigration or anything like that. So that's something that is very important. And then the government also, I think that it's important that you create a foundation for the companies to grow. And I think one very important thing is education, that we already touched on so many times. But you can go to pretty much any university and lots of schools in Finland, and you'll find games, different forms of games education. And I think that this is definitely one area where the government can do a lot so that we make sure that the universities have games kind of like part of the curriculum, and that's something that is super important. Of course, universities here are kind of like independent and they do whatever they like at least in theory, but I think that you can provide some guidance there. Then on the funding side, it doesn't help even if Estonian government would put like hundreds or even tens of millions into the ecosystem and all of that if you don't have the talent. I mean, the thing is that if you don't have the people, money doesn't do anything. I mean, of course you can pay like people a lot of money and please join and blah blah blah, but if they don't know how to make games, no matter what you pay them, it's not gonna like lead anywhere. Yeah. So I think that I've already mentioned that the biggest challenge we had in Finland 10 years ago, we didn't have the funding. Funding is very easy now. I mean, there's lots of private investors. Though you made this game, then we have used to work at Rouge. We have like so many studios that people who work there, they know how to build like pretty big things. So then when they go and start their own studio, then they'll go and talk to a few of the investors and okay, here have 50k, 100k, $500,000 done, like Catlan example. So you can't like get the funding. So I don't think that the government funding will solve the problem. I think that the most important thing, I mean, we can't like have that. And in Estonia now, I mean, we have so many success stories and so many people who had successful exits. And what do? They take that billion that they made and then they invest it into all kinds of startups and including games. So I'm not worried about the funding. I think that we can build that better in Estonia than in Finland. So we can do that on the private side. We can do it super fast. We can take that to kind of totally new level. But if we don't have the talent, nothing will happen. So it's really, really important that we make sure that we can hire 10 people, 20 people, 50 people, and we can do that fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So talent. I mean, that's like, it's so important.
Flavio? You also agree?
Yeah.
100%.
100%. I've seen what it did in Brazil when those schools started to just appear. Yeah. And
and one thing, I mean, we can do more with Brazil. I mean, there's lots of people there. They're training people. We can offer them jobs here. And again, beautiful beach, Pärnu. But the thing is that's what we should be doing. And I think Kajaani, they don't have like a beautiful beach or anything. It's actually, if you ask people in Finland about Kajaani and would you like to move to Kajaani, everybody will pretty much say that not gonna happen, like ever. No. But Kajaani, they started games education over 10 years ago in the Kajaani University of Applied Sciences. And now they have like hundreds of jobs in games in Kajaani. And then if you look at that, there's no reason to make games in Kajaani. I mean, absolute no reason. But there's also no reason why you wouldn't make games in Kajaani. And now they have Critical Force, that's like the kind of like the game can or Kajaani, if you will. So basically the biggest games company there. And now there's, because of the games education, there's talent. So they join Critical Force, they start their own companies. There's a bunch of games companies, and it's just because they have the talent. And they're not going there because of the beautiful beach in Kajaani. So that's kind of like the thing. So I think that we really need to kind of like over-invest in the education.
So
Agreed.
that's, I think, where the government can help us.
Yes,
Yeah,
really.
definitely.
With
So
the education.
just make it happen.
Just help us to make it happen
And I mean, I'm serious about this. Like, if we have great institutions in Brazil, we should like invite them to come here. You set up the campus here in Europe. We do double degrees. You do the first year in Brazil, then you come here, do a few years here, and you can work at GameCan and many of the fantastic games companies in Pärnu, rest of Estonia, rest of finest Bay Area. So we basically can bring in hundreds of people from Brazil and Latin America and like you name it. Yeah. So I think that's something that we should just like done. Yeah. Get it done.
Yes.
Like as a fact, for example, if into GameCan we could hire 20 programmers by the end of the month, we would.
But we can't because they're not here and we don't know where to find them. So yeah.
Yeah. Another one. What are some tools to establish? Oh, did I ask this? Oh no.
No.
It's okay.
Just go
I
ahead.
asked this on my head, but
We didn't hear you. So.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have that upgrade yet. In my
Yeah, yeah.
what are some tools to establish a strong game dev scene in Pärnu?
You're looking at me. All right. Well, I already mentioned the events, which is like
Yeah.
a very good tool is a tool that brings people together, and that is the biggest thing. We can like buy the ferry ride for people to come from Helsinki to show off their games here, and vice versa, do it backwards. And tools.
So August next year we're gonna do that.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do like a festival. We're just gonna go
Massive.
Yeah, just bonkers with it. Just beach party. Yes. Please.
Weekend
The
Festival
beach.
Games Edition.
The beach.
That's
I
why we
don't,
went
I
there
don't, I
today.
don't ever
Yeah.
even care about the question anymore. The answer is always the beach.
Yeah.
Okay, but
So that's where it's at. Yeah.
another thing is like we have the Pärnu.games domain. We could use that to make like a list of the companies when they start cropping up and start showcasing them like a showroom of stuff. Like get your propaganda videos like rolling there. Yeah. These guys like with their you guys with your Facebook story and the feed there is like. Everybody wants to go to Pärnu every time they look at it. They go like, "Wow, there's beach. Wow, there's like autumn trees." Yes. Every time I'm looking at it,
Yes.
like I'm like,
Actually, we started doing something super cool, but finish your answer, please.
yeah. Of course, I'm almost done. Anyway, other tools. I think like, well, the people. Yeah, talent, education. If we have a college here, if we have education here, we have the Finnish Pärnu Games Incubator here. And then we bring like more game education to the masses. Done. We have already got everybody who's interested in game development can get the training, and when they have a team and they have something to show from a game, they're ready for the Pärnu
They're
Games
ready for
Incubator.
the
Yes.
incubator.
Yes.
So it's like a full path and welcome to Pärnu, and they just stay here. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's something we need.
Peter?
Yeah, I mean, already like a lot of the tools were mentioned, but I think that what is again the most important thing is that we actually do things, and that's what we're doing here in Pärnu. So I think this panel and the discussion and all that is all part of it, and I think that kind of like it's a little bit also like been there, done that. So we can learn a lot from kind of like what was done in Finland, in Brazil. Like we can look at like a lot of these places. So it's not like we need to invent everything ourselves, and we don't need to kind of like reinvent the wheel. So I think that's again now just executing and making the events happen, making the incubator, getting the education going, all of that stuff. It's just just doing it.
It's a matter of seconds, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Marten?
Yeah, I'll tell the fun fact before I tell my answer, and then I'll probably forget what you asked.
Yeah.
The fun fact is that we kind of do a lot of branding for GameCan because if it's already so difficult to find talent to hire into game development, it's better if your studio's brand is kind of sexy or cool or interesting, attractive, not just like bland or dry software development company. And for the longest time, we have always used our social media with like pictures of our robots from Overstep and this and that. And we worked on G.I. Joe. Last week we bought a drone, like a very fancy, nice drone, and onto Instagram we're now posting drone
I was
shots.
piloting it inside the office. Don't do that, kids.
And we're posting into Instagram like drone shots of the river and autumn leaves everywhere across the city. They get so much more engagement, like 5 times more, and people are like, okay, that's where I want to live and work, which is a really cool thing because
I knew it wasn't about the video games. It's about the beach.
Yeah. And the leaves.
okay, what was the question again?
Tools.
Tools to establish
yeah.
game dev scene. Yeah, okay. All the tools have been mentioned, but what I would like to add is the beating heart, the full life cycle annually. So you get like this education part, which is like 9 months. That kind of part of the education, you fill it with smaller events like meetups, game jams, everything. Get people to mingle together, create actual companionship and human relationships. Then by the end of that, because you have them do stuff together, they probably have some prototypes, projects they're working on. You get into summer, you hit them in the head with the games incubator. You're like, guys, you have a prototype. We can actually help you understand how not just to make a game, but make a business out of it, a sustainable business. A team that makes games, that makes a business, that can make games, build your team, like a full cycle.
Yeah.
Then at the end of the summer, it's not just about the people in Pärnu, but we hit everyone with a huge festival.
Yeah.
Like next August, we do like a super sexy game dev festival with like 1,000 people coming from all over the place. And then everyone who is not kind of in the scene yet, but interested in video games, we get them there because we let people play games that are not released yet. So we get all the like 12 to 25-year-olds from Pärnu and the surrounding regions to come to the festival because games are exciting. And there we hit them with the fact that, you know, starting in September, you can go and learn how to make video games. And we continue that loop,
Yeah.
and it will become
And it's like welcome to the incubator.
yeah,
And
super strong.
Calendar events, that's a great idea, yeah. I agree. That's
Yeah, and
great.
you can already like test these games on the like the 4K like Switch that
I got so
Yeah,
excited.
yeah.
that you have at the office.
I got
Right?
so excited telling about the life cycle, I started sweating actually. I'm super excited about this.
Yeah.
Calm down.
I do the same every time somebody mentions the beach. I'm like, yeah, all right, the beach. All right, is that everybody?
Flavio?
Flavio
yeah.
also.
Yeah. I think the main two right now, like I'm being very focused on what we need because there's a lot of tools that we can use and all that, like Instagram, like the way we are using it at Game Can. Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine. Not Unit, guys. Not Unity. Unreal Engine. Just kidding. Unity is great.
Yeah,
For
community, good.
But I think what we need right now is to talk about making video games, is to talk about video games. What can you do? You know, do you see yourself making something? What can you do? You know, this is the most important thing I think right now. Is the most important tool is this what we're doing, and be able to interact with people and talk with people about it.
Spread knowledge, awareness. Tell them that video games,
Yes,
the beach,
the beach.
the beach.
That you can make video games
How
at the
many
beach.
questions
And the
do we have
metaverse.
left?
5.
Wow. We have used 50 minutes out of 60, but I guess
We can be fast.
we can be
Yeah.
fast. Okay.
Fast,
Alright.
okay, fast, Peter.
Yeah.
Speedrun.
Next one is for you. What can Estonia learn from Finland's game industry and what is behind Finland's game industry's success?
Everything. Was that fast enough?
Yeah, really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good fast answer. Yeah.
But I think that that's actually, you know, like everything. And we can learn everything from Brazil. We can learn everything from, like, the thing is that we can learn from others. And I think that, as I said before, been there, done that. We can look at
Yeah.
other, you know, like ecosystems and we just like do that but better.
Yeah.
Tomi, you also think that?
Yeah, I'm in full agreement. I'd just like to add, just steal Finland's public funding model by lobbying the politicians and then, you know, steal the organizations we're running, like have an IGA or similar.
Yeah, but
presence.
I would still like, I don't think that the public funding, like that's not gonna, like that's not the solution. I mean, that will help, but I mean, if you don't have the talent, then, you know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I agree.
The
What's
plan
100%
actually with the
would be-
public funding, the highest priority, what we want to do with it is cover half of the salary for the teachers who teach.
Yeah,
yeah,
That's what I'm-
that's like super good. I mean, that's a very good
That's
thing
what
to
I
do.
also mean. It's like you need that to make
Not
sure.
like prototype
Yeah.
funding, that's like
No.
lower priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just putting money in, because in game dev, you can earn pretty decent salaries.
Yeah.
Then you go to a university and maybe think that, okay, I'm going to teach game dev, and that salary is going to be a third of what you get
Yeah.
in the industry.
Yeah.
But
The
for example,
motivation is like super low, but if the government would cover half of it,
yeah, exactly, and to
subsidize
just get the
it,
programs going. That okay, let's put a professor there, every university. Let's make sure that there's 1,000 people starting games like studies every year, which means that there's going to be 1,000 people coming out, and they will all get jobs.
Yes.
And you know, many of them will come to Pärnu, even if they study in Tartu or Narva or you know, you name it.
I don't want to say
Or
it
Tampere.
because of the beach.
Yeah. Hey, that was my line.
Yeah, but it's like that's like these are the kind of things that we need to do, and we need to prepare for this like massive growth.
Flavio, did you want to add something? We have already answered.
The
Yeah.
beach.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's the stock answer. That's the
So
easy one.
another question for Flavio. People are afraid to work at game development because of the overtime horror stories. How
Okay.
can we avoid working overtime in game development?
Well, don't break the build. It's a management issue usually. It's because there are methods of management. A lot of those methods being used today are really old school, and it doesn't really resonate with nowadays technologies and how things should happen today. You know, so at least in GameCan, I think the amount of crunch that we had in GameCan, it was like so little because really something went wrong, you know, but it's like it's the most usual thing ever is for our devs to actually go back home at like 5 at the day end, you know. So and it's all about management. It's all about how we are trying to tackle the issues before they appear, you know, and not let it's I'm sorry to all the game studios in the world, but it's management.
Yep.
You know.
Totally.
Marten?
Yeah, like just segue from what Flavio said. If there's overtime, it's mostly because of bad management or bad planning. Like what we do in GameCam, for example, is that very often like a multi-platform game is planned for a month and then production starts. When we work with publishers, we always put our foot down that we want 3 months for pre-production. That makes a huge freaking difference because during those 3 months we put together an exact action plan on how we're gonna make that game. And yes, out of like 365 days, we maybe have overtime on 10 days maximum. And sometimes when overtime happens, it's not even because Flavio is bringing out the whip or something, but everyone agrees that we have a deadline on Friday. We actually have met the requirement of the deadline with the build, but everyone is excited, have a sense of mission to, okay, let's put in like the extra 5-6 hours and make it like extra crispy. But yeah, avoid overtime with proper planning and good management.
Which actually, I think most of our overtime that happened in GameCam is because we always under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
So it's almost always us like taking it to the next level. Okay, let's do it a little bit better. Okay, we can do it.
And it's in a way where everyone is excited about those extra hours. Like it's a cool, like
it's not extra hours that hurt. It's an
Yeah.
extra hours that you spend with your friends doing video games.
Right.
So,
Yeah, but I mean, it's of course it's about like the hours in the end, but it's not like about how many hours, but what kind of hours. And if you can, like again coming back to this, my advice to Niklas and the guys that you should do what you love to do. So if you do that, then it's not even work. So I think that it's. You always have to have like a kind of like a healthy balance. But I mean, if you actually enjoy what you're doing, it's okay. And you have to provide, the people with something meaningful to do. And that meaningful thing can be to make like the most amazing game ever, something that you can be proud of. That's also what we always said at Rovio, that we don't care, like we just make games that we like to play ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the thing. And then when you're working on that kind of stuff, then it's kind of like more than a job, and that's what you need to get to. So I think that discussing then like overtime or not, if you look at most of the games companies in Finland, of course there are exceptions, but it's like a management thing that if you end up with like a lot of like crunch time, then somebody didn't manage the whole thing like properly, and that's kind of like not good like ever. Of course sometimes you then like you have a deadline and you have to do a bit of crunching, but that's shouldn't be the norm. It's not like you can't have like constant crunch. I mean, that's gonna like kill people. So it's not good.
I'd like to add just like there's also like because the question was about like people are afraid of like doing overtime, but I've had a programmer in my life who actually like wanted to do overtime all the time because he loved the project so much. So it turned into a management problem because I had to make him go home. And stop. I had to get his Git access away because he was coding something he really wanted to make, and I was like, no, go sleep. Next day he was still at the office like trying to do something. I'm like, please no. So that was something that I turned into. So it might be a weird issue where you have to like tell your employees to please just stop like from time to time.
Actually, I had a job interview the other day. I don't remember where the guy was from. Iran, and I talked about the company culture. We have a very specific culture in Game Can, and I said that we pretty much don't do crunch. And he was like, I don't know if I'm gonna get used to that.
Oh no, good management.
Yeah.
All right.
And then another good question to all of you. What games do you play?
Oh yeah.
Name a few and then like pass it on.
Okay, the love of my life, Quake 1. Still, but right now, well, Age of Empires and New World. Finally, Amazon. Finally. Those are the top 3 ones.
I could add like mine is like I've been playing a lot of Hitman 3. Please stay away from me. I might do something like push people off ledges. I love that game, and I really love Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I cannot stop playing it. Actually, like it's like a drug to me. And with my friends, we play a lot of Warzone. That's something that is like almost a daily occurrence. I like that game as well. Basic stuff, yeah. And old games, I love like retro FPS. No One Lives Forever is one of my favorites. And you know, Deus Ex and Dishonored. I love those games.
Marten?
I play every RPG that comes out. Like I'm waiting for the new Horizon a lot, but of course, lately I've been playing a lot of New World. Before that, Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. The game that I have most hours on is actually modded Minecraft. And then I played a lot of the Assassin's Creed franchise, nearly 1,000 hours on Civilization 6 and the ones before it. Yeah, that's pretty much like the main ones.
You're not gonna mention Fortnite?
Why?
It's a joke, man.
That's what. Yeah.
He once asked me to do some research on it, and then he took a picture of me having Fortnite open.
Yeah, sure.
He knew that I'm going to say, "Oh, show them the picture," and then he's just, you know.
He's already called the camera now on video. Yeah. Right.
Proper bait and switch.
Peter?
Yeah, of course, played a lot of Civilization, but now less because that can take like a lot of time. But then actually one game that I play quite a bit on my mobile is Battles of Politopia. So it's like this Swedish indie developer like design like the game. So that's and there's like a long list, but yeah, I'll just keep it short. So.
Okay. Then, what are your tips and tricks to a person who's interested to have a career in gaming? Tomi?
Well, just like make video games. It's not that hard anymore. Like literally Google how to make a video game. It will probably give you a tool to do it. Like if you don't know how to code, there's a lot of like game maker and stuff like that that are really easy to get into and make a game. Like Hotline Miami was made on that thing. I think Undertale was made on that thing. Like it's amazing what you can do with just like click and play stuff. Then open Unity. It has tutorials. Open Unreal. It has tutorials. Please open Unreal first. We need more Unreal developers. That's easy. There's even a job offer. Same here, by the way. I'm also doing some Unreal stuff. Unreal. But I think like tips and tricks. Just don't copy others. Just do something really weird and just publish it online and see what happens. It's always good to like get your game out and go like, okay.
Make and show it to your friends.
Yeah, show it to your friends and they go like, this is crap, and you go like, yes, success, and then you do another one. I've made about 50 video games. I make one for every global game jam, for example, and I just say, to everything that like, and every person who wants to make video games, just do crazy, weird shit, like all the time. Do weird stuff.
Flavio?
Yep. Well, if you're watching this online, press Ctrl T to open a new tab. Type youtube.com, go to the search, type Unreal Engine tutorial, and come back to this tab.
Shameless.
Yeah, and how to get to Pärnu beach.
Yeah. Open maps.google.com.
Peter?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the same advice that I already mentioned that I gave to Niklas and guys also is like that you should do what you love to do. And I mean, there are many opportunities to do that in games. So again, many different roles and just like figure out what you want to do and then go do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. Marten?
I guess most has been said already, but what I would really suggest is if you're interested in kind of getting into game development, then try to become a part of a community as fast as possible. It might be scary and confusing and inside a fog to do it alone and just Google how to make game. But for example, there's the Estonian game development Discord where there's almost 1,000 people and there's different channels that you can just ask like about like development, programming, art, whatever. Just don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, and participate, join events, talk to
Game
people.
jams, everything.
And I think
ask
the
everybody.
Estonian Discord, I think most of the people in there speaks English and Estonian,
Oh
so
yeah.
it's super
It's a
easy.
fully
Yeah.
like English Discord server, so anyone can join, come there, ask questions. Just I really believe in the saying that there's no stupid questions, but if you don't ask questions, you'll be stupid.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great line. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, become a part of any community as fast as possible. Even like if you don't want to go on Discord and you find some very cool tutorial on YouTube, literally look at the comments, see who is super active in the comments, and reply to their comment. Hey, want to do something together? Or go to Reddit, like Game Dev Reddit, and see what people are doing. Maybe someone is sharing GIFs of prototype. And you see that their art is kind of bad and you really want to do like 3D for example or 2D art or whatever, and you hit them up, hey, very cool prototype, very cool mechanics, I see you probably don't have an artist, let's do something together. So the main thing is make games, like get the feeling of the full cycle of like an idea while showering, oh, this would be a cool game, and going through and making a build and actually having something that you can play. It can be the simplest thing ever, but just getting the feeling of the full cycle of development, even on the smallest game, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have the final question. How do you see the future of the game industry in general? So in Estonia or in Pärnu? Both. Flavio.
Well, I think it's not about if, but when we succeed, it's gonna be awesome. I don't know, but it's my dream to see this place full of gamers, of game makers. Even like the pubs have RGB. Everything is gaming.
The beach has RGB.
RGB on the beach.
The entire beach.
Yeah, a pub with RGB on the beach.
Yeah. Marten?
The question was how do I see the future of the gaming industry globally in Estonia and in Pärnu, yeah?
Yeah.
Globally, I see that it's going to keep growing as it has been so far. Like, if you combine all the turnover, the revenue of like Hollywood, all the big movies, everything, every ticket that gets sold in the cinema, and then you add all the music industry to it, it's less than half of the revenue of the gaming industry, which is around like 200 billion per year, and it keeps growing every year, like 10 to 20% at least. And we're gonna have more people playing video games, and as kind of the average age of a person who plays video games is getting higher and higher and higher, we're gonna need to make games for more different generations, like a higher variety of different
Yeah.
generations, which means that we can make a higher variety of games. We can have more studios. I'm like super psyched about what the next 5 or 10 years are gonna bring.
You know, I never thought about that.
Yep.
The generations, yeah.
And then for Estonia, I hope that everything we want to do with GameCan and the Game Dev Estonia organization, you know, will come true. No, actually, scratch that. I don't hope we'll do it.
Yeah, that's the right attitude, right?
Yeah.
And then Pärnu, well, kind of my crazy North Star is that I want to build a new district in Pärnu, like whatever angle it's possible to do. That would house 10,000 people, like 3,000 to 4,000 specialists from Estonia and from all over the world with their families. It will be the smartest, most efficient, coolest district in the world of any city. Like we will involve the best urban planners from all over the world to make this happen. And then through that, in 10 years from now, we will have 5,000 game development talent in Pärnu. And you know, with those high salaries, the tax that goes into the local government, we will at least quadruple the budget of Pärnu city. And if they manage that money right, how the ripple effect will affect everyone in Pärnu. I think it's an amazing thing to move towards.
Yeah.
Agree. Peter?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we'll see like a lot of growth and globally and regionally and also here in Pärnu. So again, that's why we're here. So yeah, 5,000 sounds like a pretty good, fairly like modest goal, but I think that that's like very much doable.
Yeah, and I think like the game industry where it's going, I'm really excited about the future, like of form factors. We're thinking about like virtual reality, Steam Deck coming to handle the Nintendo game, going with the handheld consoles. We're looking at smart goggles and glasses and all the games and technologies that like you can manage with this augmented reality and everything like that. That's gonna shape everything we do. It's like we get games to more people in more interesting ways. We can like, you know, the Wiimote like change the motion stuff, and you know that brought in motion controllers for virtual reality. Now we have AR in phones. Later on, we'll be able to navigate with goggles on and play games on that. So
And contact lenses.
yeah, exactly, and just make it like really weird immersive stuff. I want the Matrix. That is what I want, but that may not be the most like positive futuristic movie you can get. I was thinking of the cool explosions. No, explosions also not positive. Okay, all right. Scratch that. Yeah. Okay. As for Estonia, I'm in it to win it with you guys. Like, I want to bridge the gap between like the Finnish and Estonian game dev communities. I think we have a lot to share together, and I really hope in the future we can do tremendous stuff more with the festivals, events, incubators, accelerators, panels, events, everything. And when we get closer together and we have this huge pool of talent and this amazing group of people who are creative, passionate about what they do, we can do anything. So I think in the future we'll be partying in your Pärnu district with all the game developer guys going like kumbaya, kumbaya on the beach. The beach. RGB beach. Yes,
RGB beach.
That is the future. Yes. RGB is the future.
At the beach.
At the beach.
Yeah, that was the final question actually.
There's actually one more question. This is for you, Marten, and I think you have to repeat it. But the question is: do you take apprenticeships at GameCan?
Do we take apprenticeships at GameCan? Apprenticeship is an interesting word. Right now, for example, we have 6 interns from the Pärnu Trade School who are learning IT there, and for 450 hours, I think, they are having an internship with us, learning how to make games. Apprenticeship is basically my best answer is let's chat, like let's talk, like what do you have in mind, because every case is individual, and if we can find a place that makes sense, of course we can make it work.
Yeah, we actually talked about this with Marten earlier today, that that was kind of like a model that we used at Rovio as well when we grew from 12 people to 850. So I think that there's opportunity there.
Yes, that would be interesting. Especially, and if there's more people interested on that, actually, then contact us. Because I think if we have a good number of people, it would be nice if we can come up with an actual program
Yes.
for that. And yeah, it would be super cool to actually help you guys to learn and understand how it works.
Matches with what we want to do anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Any questions from the audience?
I think I have one. What you guys think? How far are we from the tech development that would help us? Let's say, when will carry on devices reach to the tech level that we can provide live rendering? For example, taking the real life where when you're walking on a street, having on goggles, the people who are passing by you, they could have, I don't know, costumes, weapons, whatnot. I'm just asking that there's an idea with my friends that in, for example, in Tallinn Old Town, people would be walking around with VR glasses, and everything that is passing by, like vehicles, could be horse carriages from 1400s, people could be dressed as citizens from 1400s. When could we be there? And develop the game market to, I don't know, tourist market?
I would say inside this decade, because, well, just a couple of days ago was announced by Samsung working with AMD the RDNA2 technology on a mobile chipset with ray tracing support. So yes, ray tracing is coming to mobile. It's like it's at, now we are on a moment that we will have some jumps, and ray tracing actually on mobile is one that it's really necessary for what you want to achieve, because you need to compute lighting really fast and on a realistic way, so you can alter those shapes. So you already have the AR. Now with ray tracing coming, it needs to improve, of course, because there goes the first batch will be super power consuming and will super heat the phones, you know, and then there will be like 5 generations, maybe we'll get on to a point that, okay, we have battery enough, it doesn't consume that much. So
Yeah, I think like about the transformative alternate reality a lot, because I used to run a virtual reality company, and I still think that is the closest thing we'll ever get to the Matrix. Is like I made a bartending simulator that got a little bit popular and stuff like that. But I think like in terms of like rendering the real world around you and then like transforming that to different things, we're not that far away. There's rumors, I cannot say if they're happening, of Apple's own like VR headset which has AR capabilities, and Facebook has smart glasses coming up. And every single step we take, making them slimmer and more hipster, you want to wear them and they don't look stupid like, sorry Magic Leap, but that didn't work out for you guys. What I want to do is like see, with the rendering and stuff like that, we need those system on a chip. Actually, Steam Deck is very interesting because of that, because they have so much raw power in a single chip that you can put on a, as long as your head doesn't catch on fire, I'm really optimistic about the future. 5 years, I'd say. 5 years.
Cool. You can have an ice pack on your glasses.
Yeah, you need to just change that instead of the battery.
Yeah, but I think that you're not like thinking big enough and transformative enough. So I think that that's more like linear development, and you will see some much more interesting developments than just like this linear like
surprises.
Yeah.
And there's actually some very cool projects being worked on here in Estonia. So again, but I mean, like think about like giving blind people sight as an example.
Sounds a bit more important than.
And I'll just mention that as an example that it's done in a way that you wouldn't expect. So kind of like the thing here is that when we're thinking about now, okay, smaller, better like glasses or whatever, yeah, sure, that will happen, but there will also be like some surprises that will change like the trajectory, and there's already like some super cool plans for like doing what you described, but it will happen in a different way, and I think that there's these kind of things happen when you put together technologies in unexpected ways, and I think that this is something that again. All the things that you guys mentioned are like interesting, but they're like fairly predictable. But I think that there's stuff out there that is surprising, unpredictable, and that's like 5 years we'll see like amazing things. 10 years like stuff that you can't like imagine.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah. But this is like also important that like we need to keep in mind that change is like the only thing that is like constant and certain, and it's not constant, actually it's like accelerating all the time. And I think that this is something that we need to kind of like always keep in mind that because of that there are many people that like it's the future is so boring because everything has been invented and like there's nothing happening. There are so many people who have like said that like through history that like hey there's and then like and it's always been that okay there's more and faster. So I think that there's just like some of the things that I'm aware of that people are working on, I mean that's gonna have like massive impact. Then is it 5 years or 10 years, doesn't even matter, but it's gonna be like massive.
Yeah, I got a great example out of like Helsinki on that. Like some former Vario developers were working on focal length lenses
exactly.
for a virtual reality headset, and then they realized they can use the same technology to correct eyesight. Like seriously, make glasses that are you don't need to have you don't need to have different versions of the same glasses. It can adjust to your eyesight, and that's like something that should be obvious the instant you thought about it, but later go like, oh god, that's like the actual innovation here. Like on top of all the cool-looking virtual reality rendering, we can actually fix people's eyesight. That is like exactly that.
You will have superpowers.
Yeah. And spatial sound for the hearing impaired, that is also a big thing. And so much like stuff coming up. It's gonna be really amazing. Yeah. Not that is not a good thing. It's
It has explosions.
It does have explosions. No, still not positive. Sorry.
Cool, thank you. Great answer.
Any more questions?
I'll drop one. To grow an industry, okay, we need success cases like GameCam is trying their Disco LSU, create a mobile. We need public funding like government support, but we need private investors as well. So with education plus funding, then education creates talent, funding creates funding, and then something happens.
Yes.
What's the status of the private investors in Estonia? This question actually goes to Peter because, like for example, there's Espan here, and 2 years ago we went and Marten gave a speech about like what's going on in the industry, but that was 2 years ago, and we can also grow a lot. Are there any private group of investors in Finland who is like who knows the games? They can create value because people are
of course
going after smart money anyway.
Money
it's like
follows
money
success.
is the easy piece. Totally. I mean that's like and that's also why I mentioned that 10 years ago we didn't have the funding. Now the funding is there, but now the missing piece is the talent. But then when we have funding and talent, then then it's like super easy. And I think that what if you look at then like Estonia, but I think that we should look at like the whole finest Bay Area, so Finland, Estonia, Sweden, parts of Russia, and like all that. But if you look at like the region, it's very easy for a Finnish investor to come here and then okay, let's invest here, and I know games and I can do that. So we have many people who have made a lot of money in games in Finland, and they are investing in games companies and other companies. You have a lot of people here in Estonia that made a lot of money in startups, and they are investing in startups, and why not games? So I think that's just kind of like a maturity of the ecosystem, that's basically gonna get better, and the trajectory that we're on right now, no reason why you wouldn't have 5,000 people working like games here in Pärnu. And then one thing I should add that then when we have 5,000 people here working on games, that generates, every job in games generates at least 4, and it's between 4 and 10 other jobs. So then when you start to think about that, that means that okay, then there's like 20,000 jobs around that, and that's like pretty massive. So if you have like even one like home run, like you mentioned at Rouge, 12 people, 850, and then okay, a bit less, so ups and downs, but I think that it's doable, and again, you can even bootstrap some of these, so you don't even need the funding. I was talking to like one studio in Vietnam. They started in 2015, and now they make like 60 million and 27 million in profit. It's like pretty good, and 0 funding, external funding, totally bootstrapped. So it can be done.
Yeah, and if there's no like investors coming to Pärnu, we'll make an investor summit, and they'll be here. Like they will be here, and they will notice like when we start like doing this cool.
And conference next year.
Yes,
we'll have that.
Success, money follows success.
Yeah.
I've seen that in Brazil. Like they are big companies. I'm talking about big companies actually putting money into studios in Brazil.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like because they're looking for, do you want money?
But it's also like when we started Slush in Helsinki in 2008, and the whole idea was that we needed to attract like investment into the startups. And then like what has happened that now everybody has to be there because all the best startups are there, all the success stories coming out of there. So it's that kind of gravity that we need to create, and the event here in August will be amazing, and like all the investors will be here obviously because like all the game studios and like all the coolest like people will be here. So then that's kind of like how you make it happen.
Yeah.
Questions?
Yeah.
Few sorry. For us for the whole industry to get more people involved, starting with education, so finding students or even certain ages, you need like a marketing budget to get visuals in their face, like go work in the game industry, right? Like when
but I would say like why?
As they are not aware of it.
Yeah, but I think like just question like the budget needs, because I mean I think that you can do a lot of things with other people's money. So then again I think that like it's not so much about the budget, but it's about like getting it done one way or another. So I totally agree that we need to get a message out, but I wouldn't start with the budget. I think that it's kind of like we need to think about like how do we reach all the young people globally, and we have ways of doing that even without budget. But yes, I agree that we need to get the message out.
So like the budget is not even that relevant.
Yeah.
But the reach, and I'm just talking for Baton, Estonia here, so in Estonia itself, and especially Baton where we are, most kids or almost no kids know about game development, right? So if we have the connections, or if you as the industry have connections with the local government who actually owns a lot of stuff that can be visually put in front of kids and youngsters, and they want to do this and help grow the ecosystem of the game development industry, then I'm a bit starstruck why it's not picking up faster from their side.
I think we need to, like, the awareness question is the right one, right? So how do we incentive the local government to kind of give awareness to the game industry? Well, we show them numbers, we show them growth, we show them the people running out, we throw a huge festival on the beach, and everything is gonna be like, then it's the number game. We don't need that.
It's very simple. Imagine an industry where you make entertainment that is sold on the entire world, and that product of yours you can actually control C and control V for a bunch of millions of people. Each one of those are sold by around 49 euros, and it's a product of exportation.
There is like, it's the Finnish biggest export, I think, is video games. So it's also a thing, like, just tell them that, yeah, it's video games, we're doing them, please help us. And that's just like, that's basically our last like talk with the mayor and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, we've got this market, it's gonna be big, we're gonna make Pärnu the next game dev destination. They're like, okay, how can we help? And that is the right like way. So I think they're very aware, and the more we do, the more they're just like, it's just gonna go like boost itself up at that point. Like the bigger we do things, the bigger they'll reflect and market that as well. I don't think. I think the budget question is like secondary to that.
It's again having these kind of like role models. So I think that's super important. So also like then successful companies. So then you highlight the success. So that was kind of like, okay, Rovio, Angry Birds. If those guys can do it, then we at Supercell can do it. And then Ilkka and the guys made like something much bigger with Supercell. And then like it just keeps going. And I think in Estonia now there's a very very vibrant like startup scene, and there's a lot of activity there. And I think that we already it's okay to go and work for a startup. It's okay to start a company. So I think that we already have like overcome like many kind of like hurdles there. And then it's that hey, you can also like start a company and make games. And like why don't you do that? And I think that then getting the message out to the schools. Yes, we can work with the government, the education ministry, the local like government. That okay, why don't we do game jams at like every high school in Estonia? Or
I think that's the main value. Like those that the education ministry can. How do you approach? How do you think is the best way to approach the kids? Which age they're more receptive for that? That they're starting to think about it. I think that's the most value that the government could provide.
And do it together with like inform
Everybody.
people, tell people, have open a dialogue. That's what we do all the time with Marten as well. It's like we talk to people, we talk to institutions, we talk to the government, but also we talk to the teams and as like people who want to start making video games.
Job fairs.
Yes.
Yeah, we're having.
We have, but in here, what about Estonia? Do we have
I'm sure you do.
job fairs?
Yeah, but they usually touch low-level jobs.
Okay, but we have like
Let's take
basically we have
video game development today.
we have that in Finland like several times a year.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then basically
fairs,
most of the people who come there are like not from Finland. And
Yeah.
then they move to Finland, and I mean that's like how it works. And I think that this is also like we need to attract the young people here in Estonia, but then that's not going to be enough. Again. Most of the 5,000 people that will be working in games in Pärnu, in 10 years' time, will be from somewhere else, and that's like just the way it is. I mean, again, Rovio, 47 different nationalities. How many do you have already?
13 or 14.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's just that we in the games industry we hire the best people we can find, and we don't care if they're anywhere. Like they're There, Ghana, you can basically, Unreal Engine, we hire you. From Iran, from, like the US, from Canada, you name it. So I think that's what is really nice about the games industry, that it's totally global.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like super, super global, and it doesn't really matter like where you're originally from. You're in games, and then, like you can work anywhere. And then we just need to make sure that they come here.
Yeah, I think it's also for Estonian youngsters maybe the understanding of gaming industry and game development is like maybe it's very like narrow in a sense that it's thought that it's only about like development. It's only about like coding, So like also getting this message across that it's so much more actually.
Yes.
That it involves so many different layers.
Storytelling, art,
getting these people involved by the interest that they already have is probably the way or the storytelling that needs to get across to the kids.
Yes. And that's what we can all do, like just share
That's our
like
next
what it's
video
all about.
then.
Showcase that.
Yes.
That is a great idea.
There you go.
More like personal success stories from inside of the development team. For example, I've been in the film industry for most of my life, and there's like people just think that you can just be an operator or a director. That's it. You don't know that there's hundreds of jobs.
Yes.
And most of them are much more interesting than a director.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And then those people and then that video can kind of tell about what they do. So yeah, this morning I woke up, I drank my coffee, and I actually wrote the backstory of a dragon. Like what the dragon does when it finishes its coffee.
Right.
And then we create a video like that.
Brushes his teeth.
Then we talk with the government and get their money to get that video to schools.
Yeah. All right.
You had a question?
Yeah, I want to expand for a moment on the question about apprenticeships at Game Camp. Let's say that somebody who doesn't have any experience at all but is really interested, would it be possible to find a place for that kind of person where he could learn something basic even?
If there's someone who is interested in an apprenticeship with making games and they have no experience at all, the number one thing is that if you put on your black belt of Google Fu and take just 1 month and dive into how games are made, you will have some experience.
And then you can say you have the experience.
Yeah,
And then apply.
It is
YouTube, actually more YouTube Fu. You don't
open
really need
YouTube.
to go into Google and read articles or anything, just drop
How to
directly
read
into
Pärnu
YouTube.
Beach.
Because Unreal Engine's own channel on YouTube will give you hundreds of tutorials. They actually have a learning section on their website as well. Epic has it, which is pretty cool. If you want to know about like game design, there's Adam Millard's channel. There is the Game Designer Toolbox. They're great channels. And if you want to know about like storytelling, I don't know, but you can probably find as well.
Yeah, GDC Vault also.
GDC
and they
talks.
They even have postmortem of games that didn't sell well. They will literally tell you how they screwed up, and so you can avoid those issues, or at least try.
It's like
there's a lot of resources.
The barrier isn't.
There isn't a barrier.
Like there, like literally, if today you decide that you wanna go into making games or at least learn about it, tomorrow you can already have some experience, some understanding. The day after, you'll be twice as smart.
Yep.
It's not like a thing that I'm here right now, I know nothing, and I need to take a crazy leap of faith and hope that I land. No, like baby steps are so possible. And then, like the interns we have right now, they came in with like zero understanding of making games, and now they're doing stuff. They're making doors move with collision boxes and detection boxes and everything, and doing interesting stuff, but also writing the game design. They needed to make a document about all the mechanics and features and the logic of the game. Next thing, we're gonna do project management with them, like pre-production. We're gonna split all of the mechanics, features and content they want in their game and split it into a milestone schedule, which the first one is core gameplay loop. You cannot make anything pretty, otherwise there's the door. Like that's a super important rule. Do not make like pretty rocks or trees or characters or animations, VFX, SFX, nothing. You just make a core gameplay loop. Your character should be a rectangle.
Maybe
the thing that you're gonna interact with is a cube, and if you want to throw something at it, that's gonna be a sphere.
We need to go. We need to go.
Just one quick thing. How can people find actually the Estonian Discord channel?
Drop a link in the chat.
bit.ly/estgamedev.
Yeah, that. Or is Marten is behind the transmission? Who is behind the transmission? Or who has? Could post the link. Okay.
Also. Estgamedev, Also, gamecan.eu through our website. You'll get our social media and contacts and stuff. If you cannot find the Discord and the link doesn't work and they lie to you, just ask us.
Yes.
Also, gamecan.eu/careers are a bunch of open positions if you're looking for a job.
And please watch the Pärnu Game Incubator Demo Day at pärnu.games. Pärnu.games.
Yeah, check it out.
Check it out, it's good stuff. Alright, we have to go.
We have to go.
Here.